Welcome to our series on Excel Advanced Microsoft Office Training. Hi, I'm Afolayan A. Olayinka. This program is powered by Microsoft Office, V Consult, and I Study Live. Welcome to your Excel Advanced Training course. Module 1 is on using logical function. In this module, we will look at defining named ranges and using it. Using them in formulas. Identify and applying Excel's logical function. If, and, or, and creating nested functions by combining logical functions in a formula. Working with names and ranges. A complex formula involving several cells ranges can be difficult to understand. Individual cells that contain important data can be hard to find on a large workspread sheet. Cell reference like D5 to D22 or D33 to C33. Something somehow abstract and don't really communicate anything about the data they contain. In Excel, you can create meaningful names for cells or ranges that can be used to overcome this difficulty. What do you understand by range? What are range names? Range names are meaningful character strings that you can assign to individual cell or cell ranges. You can use a range name practically anywhere you can use a cell or range reference. The advantage of using names comes from the fact that a name like employee is more meaningful and less abstract than the reference like C22 to C55. Also, name ranges are by default absolute. So if you copy or autofill a formula using name ranges, it will maintain its original cell references, like shown in the picture. You see, this name ranges. This is the function. It's easier to say equals total sales minus total expenses, which will give you the profit. Okay. So range names will make formula much more readable, and they will make it easier to find and reference individual cells. When you are at first designing your worksheet, you can create formula using names instead of traditional cell references, and then defining the names for the comprehension or composition of corresponding ranges of data are required. Basically, using range names in your worksheet improves clarity, it improves organization, and aids in the overall design. Okay, so defining and using name ranges. To define a name range, what you need to do is to select either a cell or cell range and choose the define name button from the define name button group in the formula ribbon. Okay, it looks like this. It looks like this. Okay, this will display the new name dialog button. This. In the new name dialog box, you will see the reference to the cell or range you selected in the button. You will see this. Okay, this is the reference that will be associated with the name you choose. To name your range, type in a name in the top text field and click OK. Here, you tell your name here. Okay, if you wish, you can also add a comment to the associated that are associated with your new name. The scope refers to the part of the worksheet where your name range will be valid. This is where you can write your comment. Okay. So another way to name a cell or range is to select it. You will select that range. Okay. You select it. Type the name in the box on the formula bar and press enter. You type the name here and you press enter. Okay. So in this example, the cell B1 to B6 were selected and the name new range was entered into the name box. If you click the drop down button, this drop down button, arrow, just to the right of the name box, you will display the list of range names used in this spreadsheet. Okay. Defining and using range names. Excel will not accept space between the word in the names you choose. For example, new range, or new range will be accepted, not new range. You do not accept this. Okay. As an example, if you name a range of figure 6 and you name another data expenses, you could calculate the total sales or total expenses by entering the function equals sum sales or equals sum expenses respectively. Using names of range and cells in this way makes your formula and function much clearer. For example, total sales minus total expenses is a more meaningful formula than B2 minus C2. Similar, average height is more meaningful than average B1 to B100. Okay. So Excel logical functions are very simple. We have and, or, if not, false, true, if error. These logical functions are important when doing advanced work in Excel because they can help you control the behavior of your worksheet based on specific logical function. This module will focus on the use of logical function if, and or. Okay. The if function. Excel if function can often prove to be very useful if you use this function to branch to different values or action depending on a specific function. The structure of an if function is as follows. If, it will be followed by what? The logical test, then the value if true, and lastly the value if false. Okay. So if functions are called conditional functions because the value that the function returns will depend on whether or not a specific function is satisfied. Okay. As an example, consider this following function. Assuming we have if a equals 10, 5 and 1. This function states that if cell address A1 has a value of 10, then the cell function must have the value of 5. But if A1 does not have value of 10, the cell that contains the function will have a value of 1. We have the value of 1. Okay. In other words, if the function reads if A equals 10, then return 5. S, return the number. Okay. Okay. So Let's say we have a function like this. If function is entered into a cell B, let's say we enter if function into this cell B2, and the function is if A1 is greater or equal to, less or equal to 100, then A1 times 0.5. Otherwise, C3 times 2. This function states that if the content of A1 is less or equal to 100, the value in the cell B2 will be the value in cell A1 times 0.5. Else, the value in B2 will be the value of cell C3 multiplied by 2. You can insert an if function by invoking the insert function dialog and looking under the logical category, or by typing it directly into the formula bar. So the best way to get comfortable with if function is to practice using them. Okay? So what am I saying? I'm saying I have my function here. I can click on this address B1, okay, which is the address B1, come to formula and define the name. I can define it as anything. I can define it as expenses. Okay, so that means my B1 is expenses. Let me use it as expenses, yes. Then I come to B2. I go to formulas and define name, and I define it as income. Okay, so I can define this one as my B3 as what? As money at hand. Money at hand. Remember, there is no space here. If you try to put a space, it will not accept it. Okay? The reason why it accepted it is because, let's say I right click on it and I choose define name. You see, if I put money at end and I click OK, it will not accept it. Why? Because there must not be any space. Better still, I can put underscore. Let's put underscore and see. Okay, then it accepts it. Do you understand? So that is naming, or the ranges. I'm trying to name a particular address, cell address now. I named each one of them. Okay, or the other, I can name a range. Let's say I name from here to here. Okay, I right click, I choose define the name. My name is monthly underscore expenses. Okay, that is, it covers my monthly expenses. That means this address covers, this range of cells covers my monthly expenses. Okay, instead of right clicking, I can come to formula and I choose define name. Still the same thing. I will get the same answer. And the issue of function, sending if function. Okay, I can say my expenses, my income, my money at hand. Okay, I can say my money at hand. I come to function area, say my money account equals what? Expenses, no, equals income minus expenses. Expenses. Okay? Enter. Do you understand now? So instead of saying B1 minus B2 equals to B3, no. Let's be logical. Use something that people can understand. Say my expenses minus my income equals my money at hand. So every time I click on B3, I'm clicking on money at hand, which means I have subtracted my expenses from my income. Okay? And the issue of if function, I can say, okay, if my money at hand, this is my money at hand. If my money at hand is greater than 40, then my profit margin is reasonable. Okay, then my profit margin is reasonable. Okay, so now let's continue. Okay, if function. Using the function library, Excel contains an extensive library of functions that if you can call upon help, you will be able to solve a lot of problems. These tools are available in function library button, okay, in the formula ribbon. The first and the largest ribbon is insert function. This button will open a dialog allowing you to search for and insert hundreds of functions. You can also click the small FX button next to the formula bar to display the insert function. Click the insert function button, activate the insert function dialog box, and provides access to the large range of functions available in Excel. Once the insert function dialog box is open, then you can select the function you wish to use from the available list and click OK, or type the name of the function you wish to use in the search button and press enter. Select the function when it appears in the list and click OK. Okay, so manually you can enter a function. If you wish, if you know the function you are looking for, you can enter the name in a spreadsheet by inputting it manually, that is, typing the function directly into the cell. Okay, when you do this, a screen tips will appear with the possible function that correspond with the letter of the function name you have entered. For example, if you type equals if into a cell, the following appears. This one will appear. Something like this will appear. Okay? If this is more than one function, so you will now be able to choose. You toggle between them by using the arrow up or down keys. If there is more than one function listed, you can toggle between them by using the arrow up. Okay? So manually, then you choose, then you finish the typing. Once you have selected the function you wish to use, continue by typing in a left bracket, which will cause the function syntax to display in the another screen tips. Okay, continue to enter all the arguments required by the function to give you a result. Ensuring you, type a comma between each argument Press enter to display the result. Then you have what you are looking for. Okay, so when you have here now, you want to address this, come to if function, then press insert. Immediately you press insert, you see there is equal sign here, and this one pull out the dialog box. Okay, you can type what you are looking for here to search for what you are looking for. Okay, otherwise you scroll down here to look for which one. For this one, I just want to sum. Okay, then I click OK. Then it will sum for me, and I click what? OK. So it sums everything here for me. If I choose here again, immediately I put equals. If you see it toggles, I can use my arrow key to choose what am I trying to. If whether a condition is met, then return value true and another value if false. That is if. If error, return value if error, if expression is an error and the value of expression itself otherwise. Okay, so that is what we have on there. Equals sum. Equals sum if, so you can choose which one do you want. Equals sum if, equals sum, then by the time you choose the left bracket of what, then it can show you what you are looking for. Okay, so either of the two, or you choose auto sum here, straight, average, count number. Auto sum will do the same thing. Okay, then by the time you press enter, you get your answer. Okay, so the end function. The end function will return true if all the arguments are true. If one argument is false, the add function will return false. For example, the logical statement. Look at this logical statement. Equals and left bracket 1 is greater than 10, comma 2 is 1 is lesser than 10, comma 2 is greater than 1, right bracket. This 1 is lesser than 10 is true, and if and the statement 2 is greater than 1 is true. As a result, the statement will return true because both of the statements are true. Okay, notice this argument, the and are placed in parentheses and separate by commas. The except function and means the exact same thing as when you say 1 is lesser than 10 and 2 is greater than 1 in a plain English language. Because 1 is lesser than 10 and 2 is greater than 1, the exact and function will return logically what? True. Okay? So you can have as many as 250 logical arguments to an Excel AND function. You can enter this argument directly, or you use cell references as the situation requires. All of the arguments should be separated by commas. The following tables, often referred to as truth table, may help you understand the AND function. In the last column of the truth table, you will see the value returned by the function, this one, according to the corresponding value of the function argument. Okay? True and false will give you false. False and true is false. True and true is true. True and false. Okay? So when you are using AND, this is your answer. False and false give you what? false. Okay. So on the other hand, the or function, the logical or function will return true if one or more of the arguments to the function are true. For instance, the compound 1 is lesser than 10 or 2 is greater than 1. No, or 2 is lesser than 1 is true. Since 1 is lesser than 10, it does not matter the statement 2 is lesser than 1 is false, because you have a choice of either 1 is lesser than 10 or 2 is lesser than 1 to make the corresponding statement true. If one or both of the argument is true, the overall or statement will also be true. So in Excel, you compose an or function is like if one or more of the function argument is true, the or function will return true. Okay, so look at this. Or argument 1, argument 2, argument 3, argument 4 till argument 255. If one of them is true, then it will return true. Okay, so notice the function and its comma separated argument in the formula bar. Here is the truth table for or function. Okay, let me use red. True, when you have true and false, it will be true. Okay, I mean true or false. False or true is true. True and true is true. False will give you false in or function. Okay. Also, how do you work with nested function? In Excel, you can actually place or nest a function within a function. Notice that this function has 3 average functions nested within a sum function, which is in turn nested in another average function. The average of range D2 to D6, the average of C2 to C6, the average of B2 to B6 are summed together. The sum is then averaged with the sum of C2 to C6 and the sum of B2 to B6 for a final result. So in terms of nested function, nesting averages within sums and sums within average is probably not that practical. However, nested if function can be extremely useful for a wide variety of situations. So average sum B2 B6 sum B2 C2 to C6 sum average of B2 to B6 average C2 to C6 average D2 to B6 nested if function. Also, you can nest your if function. The if function is ideal for making choices based on logical tests. Furthermore, you can nest if function one inside another. Look at this. If A is equal to 10, the value return 100. Otherwise, if A is equal to 5, return 200, or else 0. So instead of returning false, empty, then you still check if A is 5, return 5. So if the value in A1 is 10, the function will return 100. If the value in A1 is not 10, then it will return 5. It will tell the value of A1 if it is 5. If the value is 5, it will return 200, and if not 5, then it will return and it is not 100, then it will return the blank cell, empty cell. That is it. Okay. So when you nested logical function, you must make sure that the number of the closing parentheses matches the number of the opening parentheses using in the function. If you count the number of parentheses in the function from the image above, you will discover that 2 opening and 2 closing parentheses. Okay? So, and that is how it's supposed to be. Look at this. I'm saying this is my this is D12. So I'm saying my D12 if is equal to if, and I open bracket, if my B1 here, if my expenses is less than 1, 2, 3, comma, return what? Return 50. Return 50. But if it is greater, return 90. Return 90. Okay. See, now my D12 return 90 because my expenses is what? Is greater than 30,000. My expenses is greater than 30,000, so it return 90. Whereas if it is less than, let's say my expenses now is now 29,000, what will happen? It returns 50%. So I can name this column. I can say my column is the percentage performance, which is dependent on this. That is, this column can be the average income. The average income, the percentage performance. So that I will now reference my average income. If it is less than a particular number, let it give me that my performance is 50. Or if it is higher than a particular amount, let it give me that my performance is 90%. Okay? All right. You can also apply logical function. How? The spreadsheet in the image that we see here is a fictitious budget of a company. If you look carefully, you will notice that the Miami division, okay, this Miami division had its budget increased by 150 to 1.8 million. Also, Chicago division has its budget increased from 2 million to 2.4 million. From 2 million to 2.4 million. Okay? You see? Okay. The question that arises here is, what reasoning was used to arrive at this budget increase for these particular cities? Okay? Look at it. For the answer to this question, look at this formula in your cell bar. Okay? The future budget increase for division column is made active here. We click on it. When you click on it, it shows you the budget, the formula. When the cell F2, this cell F2 is active cell. you will see the formula of this F2 here. Okay, this function. To understand this formula as a whole, you must first understand if logical function is used in the formula. To start, remember that if function will return a certain value based on the logical test. So if function, the logical test, the value if it is true and the value if it is false. In this case, the logical test is or left bracket C2 minus D2 greater than 500, comma, and open bracket C2 greater than D2, comma, E2 greater than 20%, bracket close. This is the logical test. The OR function will return true if one or more of the arguments are true. Okay, the first argument in the OR function is C2 minus D2 is greater than 500,000. This is a simple argument that will return true when the value of D2 subtracted from the C2 is greater than 500,000. The second argument is AND. And in logical function, the AND function, that means it will only return true when both of the arguments are true. That is the AND function. C2 must be greater than D2 and E2 must be greater than 20% before it will return true. Okay? So if the first argument to the OR function is false and the AND function must return true for the OR function to be true. Alternatively, if the AND function returns false, then the first argument to the OR function must return what? Return true for it to be true. Okay? So if you use the column heading for a particular reference, the logic of this OR will read something like this. Remember, the original format for the logic if function is if the logical test, then the value is true or the value is false. So when the OR function, that is the logical test of the if function, return true, the if function will give the value B2 times 1.2. Okay? The original budget increased by 20%. When the OR function return false, when this OR function return, when this one return false, okay, if and the if function will give you the value B2, the original budget value. Okay, so that means the logical function for this logical function, the logical test for the logical function is this one in red box, and we need, at least for the OR function, we need either this be true or we need that this both be true. Okay, so if only one of this is true, if only one is true, then this one is false. Okay, so if the market share is greater than 20% and expected revenue are greater than revenue from previous period, or expected revenue subtract revenue, then we don't have the B2. Okay, so if you wanted to summarize the formula shown in the formula bar in a plain English, you could say the following. If you are confused by a formula involving one or more logical functions, take your time and carefully study the function argument. Study one function at a time until you understand the logic, the test, and the condition, and the value for the function, the value which the function will return. If you understand each individual function in a formula, pretty soon the entire formula will make sense to you. If the expected revenue show more than $500,000, increase over the previous revenue, or the expected revenue are greater than the previous revenue and the market share is greater than 20%. Do you understand? Okay. The next unit is module 2, working with lookups. Don't forget to check for updates at istudylife.com. Subscribe and like our channel. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.